To prevent catastrophic climate change, we must stop burning fossil fuels that put carbon into the atmosphere. Drastic actions to reduce carbon emissions need to be happening now. Nuclear energy has no constructive role to play in this transition. Nuclear energy is not carbon-free, it is not clean, and it is not reliable, especially in a climate-disrupted world. Nuclear energy is too expensive and is too dangerous to be included in any climate change strategy. Continued support of nuclear energy is actually impeding the development of renewable energy. The reality is, we can't nuke climate change. Let's look at the facts. Fact: nuclear energy is not carbon-free. Nuclear energy's carbon footprint extends well beyond the running of the reactor. The entire process involved in creating nuclear energy includes uranium mining, milling, and transportation, fuel enrichment, plant construction and operation, decommissioning the plant once it closes, and very long-term management of radioactive waste. When this life cycle is taken into account, nuclear energy releases twice as much carbon as does solar power and 6 times as much carbon as onshore wind farms. According to the author of this analysis, every dollar you spend on nuclear, you could have saved 5 or 6 times as much carbon with energy efficiency or wind farms. Fact: nuclear energy is not clean. Regulations allow nuclear power plants to routinely release radiation into the air and water. Accidental discharges also happen. 3/4 of all U.S. nuclear power sites have leaked radioactive tritium, often into the groundwater. Tritium is a form of radioactive hydrogen that cannot be filtered out of the water. Nuclear power plants release radioactive carbon-14, methane, nitrous oxides, and fluorocarbons into the atmosphere. All are potent greenhouse gases. Nuclear energy generates high-level radioactive waste that will remain deadly for hundreds of thousands of years. Nuclear accidents like those at Chernobyl, Fukushima, and 3 Mile Island continue to cause deadly health problems for people and irreparable harm to the environment. Plutonium created by nuclear energy can be extracted from the fuel and used to make nuclear weapons. Clearly, there is nothing clean about nuclear energy. Fact: nuclear energy is too expensive. Nuclear energy generates only 18 to 20% of the electricity used in the United States and only 10% worldwide. Nuclear energy is at least 3 times as expensive to produce as solar or wind. The price of renewables is continuing to drop, while the cost for nuclear continues to rise. But instead of investing in renewables, ratepayers in 5 states are already paying billions of dollars to private energy corporations like Exelon and First Energy to bail out aging nuclear power plants that continue to lose money. And demands for more bailouts and other market guarantees are in the works. These bailouts are a sham and serve only to line the pockets of utility executives and shareholders. Rather than subsidizing nuclear power, we should be closing down plants and supporting reactor communities to transition into new economic ventures, especially those that promote more renewable energy. Studies show that states could save millions to billions of dollars by replacing old nuclear power plants with renewable energy, energy efficiency, and storage. This can be done without relying on natural gas and without any reduction in electric grid reliability. Fact: nuclear energy is not needed to fight climate change. California has already demonstrated that nuclear energy is not needed to reduce carbon emissions. The state met its climate goal of reducing greenhouse gas emissions to 1990 levels 4 years ahead of schedule by moving away from nuclear energy and promoting renewables, energy efficiency, and energy storage development. California is not unique. A report from Stanford University documents how every state can eliminate the use of fossil fuels and transition to 100% energy generated from renewables and energy efficiency, without using nuclear energy, natural gas, ethanol, or other biofuels. This energy transformation is possible even for Illinois, a state that currently receives roughly 50% of its electricity from nuclear energy. Fact: building new nuclear reactors will impede timely carbon reductions. Carbon reduction plans that include nuclear energy call for the construction of 1,000 or more nuclear reactors around the world by 2050 at a cost of at least $8.2 trillion. To achieve this goal, one reactor would need to be built every 2 weeks for the next 35 years. This is physically and economically impossible to accomplish. It takes 10 to 20 years to plan and then build one nuclear reactor. Solar and wind projects, by comparison, take only 2 to 5 years to come online. Given the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change's 2018 warning about the need for drastic action within 12 years, we simply don't have time to combat climate change using nuclear energy. Imagine how much faster we could respond to climate change if the billions of dollars being spent on bailing out old nuclear plants, building new ones, and researching new types of reactors were invested in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and storage. Every dollar spent on nuclear energy impedes this transition and puts more carbon into the atmosphere. Fact: nuclear energy is unreliable in a climate-disrupted world. Industry advocates claim that nuclear is a reliable source of power needed to maintain a consistent energy supply. But nuclear reactors in the United States and around the world have already shut down many times because of drought and extreme heat waves. They require vast amounts of cool water to operate. Every plant uses 19 million to 1.4 billion gallons of water every day. If there is not enough water available, or if the incoming water is too warm, the plant must reduce power or cease operating. In a climate-disrupted world where drought and heat waves are increasing, and demand for fresh water for drinking and crop production is also increasing, nuclear is not a desirable or a reliable energy source. Fact: nuclear energy is an extremely dangerous technology. Nuclear energy is arguably the most dangerous source of energy ever created. Every nuclear reactor generates 20 to 30 tons of highly radioactive waste annually. Nuclear reactors have already generated over 80,000 metric tons of waste in the United States and over 200,000 metric tons worldwide. This waste will remain deadly for 240,000 years or more. Nuclear power plants require a constant source of electricity for cooling systems that prevent meltdowns. If power is cut off for an extended period of time due to natural disasters or terrorist attack, the nuclear fuel will melt down and release lethal radioactivity into the community, just as it continues to do in Fukushima. The disasters at Chernobyl and 3 Mile Island prove that nuclear plants are also susceptible to equipment malfunction and human error. Similar disasters could happen at any nuclear reactor. By comparison, if wind turbines or solar panels stop working, they don't melt down. They don't spew radioactive particles into the air and water. They simply stop. Unlike nuclear energy, renewable energy sources do not pose a catastrophic threat to communities or the environment. Those who argue that nuclear energy is needed as a bridge fuel while we transition to more renewables fail to understand the great risk this poses. Aging nuclear reactors are more susceptible to catastrophic accidents because radiation breaks down the very metals and materials designed to contain it. The Nuclear Regulatory Commission has already allowed 92 U.S. reactors to continue operating 20 to 40 years beyond the lifespan they were designed for. Every one is running on borrowed time, a deadly radioactive accident waiting to happen. Why would we put ourselves and our planet at great risk by continuing to rely on nuclear energy when we have safe and sane alternatives? Nuclear energy is a dangerous dinosaur that is dragging us down into a tar pit of false promises, wasted resources, and thousands of tons of radioactive waste. It's time to face the facts. We can't nuke climate change. Nuclear energy is not clean or carbon-free. It is too expensive. It is not needed to combat climate change. It will impede timely carbon reductions. It is unreliable in a warming world. It is extremely dangerous technology. It's time to stop generating electricity from nuclear energy. We need to invest in real energy solutions: wind, solar, geothermal, energy efficiency, and storage. We don't have any time to lose. To quote Dr. Gregory Yazko, a former chairman of the Federal Nuclear Regulatory Commission, nuclear is just not up to that task. From everything I've seen and experienced with this industry, I think that's a fool's errand, and I think it's going to fail the planet when it comes to dealing with climate change. To stay informed on this issue, please sign up for action alerts on our website, www.neis.org. Thank you.